What's up, YouTube? What is up? So, we got some breaking news for you guys. It looks like there has been some developments, and it looks like I'm actually late on this. This actually happened a couple of days later or a couple of days ago, and I'm fairly late on this, but it's still breaking news to me, right? So we have before me uh, a court order in the case of Cardi B versus Tasha K, right? So it's Bel Khalees Marlenis Almazar, which is basically Cardi B, versus Latasha Transrena Kibi, right? Or Latasha Transrena Howard and Kiwi Studios. Now, you guys should know that there was actually a third person involved in this, Star Jones, I think that's her name, but for whatever reason, she has all but disappeared. And I've seen videos of her on the internet, and I am going to go out and allege, based on the videos that I've seen. And if I can remember correctly, she said that she doesn't really have anything. So suing her or getting a successful lawsuit against her is not really going to accomplish anything. But if I was Cardi B, I would still try to get a judgment against her because you really don't want people coming out and making crazy allegations against you, so on and so forth, right? So I have the court order before me, and you guys see what it is. You know what it is. We're not going to go through all this. What I'm actually going to do is that I'm actually just going to skip towards some very pertinent part, and then hopefully a bit later I can come back and cover the entire lawsuit, maybe do kind of like a quick legal analysis on this whole thing. And basically, let's just go ahead and jump into this. What we're going to do for now is that we're just going to cover Tasha K's counterclaim being dismissed and what it's actually going to mean for Tasha K, right? So let's just go ahead and jump in. Defendant's counterclaim, right? It goes, the court grants the motion for summary judgment as to the defendant's Kibi assault counterclaim. Even viewed in the light most favorable to defendant Kibi, the evidence is insufficient to support her claim. Under Georgian common law, an assault occurs where all the apparent circumstances reasonably viewed are such as to lead a person to reasonably to apprehend a violent injury from the unlawful act of another. And that's Greenfield versus Colonial Stores, right? It goes on. And as is always required in a tort action, the claimant must prove that the alleged wrongdoer, in fact, caused the harm to occur. And that's going to be Norman v. Zytex, right? Then it goes on. In this case, however, defendant Kibi has failed to do so, right? So I guess they're claiming that she's failed to basically show that she was injured, and she also failed to show that Cardi B was the cause of these injuries, right? And it goes on. First, defendant Kibi has failed to produce any evidence that the plaintiff herself threatened Kibi or made her believe that she was going to do her harm. Instead, Kibi has only made allegations that others who may be associated with the plaintiff made these threats. And while an individual is certainly can be held liable for the torturous actions of another, defendant Kibi has failed to demonstrate here that the threats she alleged occurred were directed by the plaintiff or committed by an agent acting on the plaintiff's behalf. And this is case law. See Selma v. Goddard, right? Or Goodard, right? Explaining that a person may be civilly liable for injury done to another if they procure the injurious act to be done. There is no material evidence linking the plaintiff to the threats that made. There is no material evidence linking the plaintiff to the threats made from Instagram accounts other than the reference to the plaintiff's or variations of her well-known name. Cardi B, further, these accounts are inaccessible as the defendant Kibi's Instagram page that received them has been deleted, right? And the messages were not saved. This is actually interesting because even though you delete something, as you know, we live in an information age. that information really just doesn't go away. It's probably floating out there somewhere. One possible place to get this information is for other users who have saved it or blogged about it. Another possibility is that you can just reach out to Instagram and say, hey, go get the backup tapes and restore this from backup at, on this particular date. And basically, you should be able to get it that way. But then again, I'm not sure what Instagram's backup policy is. I can't imagine that they're deleting all this stuff. Like once something is deleted, it's gone forever. That's typically not the case when you're talking about computers. But who knows? And then it goes on. Moreover, in messages between plaintiff and Schemo, the plaintiff did not direct Schemo to take specific violent action against defendant Kibi. Any argument that she did is mere speculation, unsupported by any evidence thereof. Thus, because defendant Kibi has failed to establish through material evidence that the plaintiff would be the actual cause of an alleged assault, the claim cannot survive, right? And there's actually some footnotes here, which sometimes I just find interesting. And then it just talks about an agent is as one who acts for another. An agency relationship exists where one person expressly or by implication authorizes another to act for him or subsequently ratifies the acts of another in his behalf. And that's Bove and Moyer LLC v. Banks, right? There's no such relationship between the plaintiff and the individuals committing the alleged assault, right? So, yeah, so I mean, if you tell somebody to go and punch somebody, or you tell somebody to go and harass another person, then you're going to be liable for that person's actions, right? But in this case, Tasha K can't prove that the alleged persons were acting on behalf of Cardi B, right? Then it goes on and it gets into her intentional infliction of emotional distress claim. And it says to survive summary judgment on an intentional infliction of emotional distress, which they're basically using an acronym IIED claim, a plaintiff must show all four elements. One, intentional or reckless conduct. Two, which is extreme and outrageous. And three, cause the emotional distress. And four, which is severe. And that's Powell v. City of Cedartown, right? And then it goes on, while physical impact is not a required element, in its absence, the party seeking to assert intentional emotional distress claim must also show that the conduct in question was directed at her. And that's Jones v. Fayette Fam, right? And then it goes on. Defendant Kibi has failed to provide material evidence demonstrating that the plaintiff's actions caused defendant Kibi extreme emotional distress. Defendant Kibi points to threats and intimidation from Cardi B fans as the main source of her emotional distress. But here's a problem with that. Cardi B does not have control of her fans, just like any other artist wouldn't have control over his fans, right? Then it goes on, yet there's no evidence that these actions were committed by the plaintiff or otherwise directed by her. As discussed above, the causation has not been established. Then it goes on, the court acknowledges that the defendant Kibi may have been in a particularly precarious situation because of her high-risk pregnancy that the plaintiffs and others knew about. And then it gives case law, Patterson versus Xerox Corp, explaining that knowledge of a pregnancy and that someone is particularly susceptible to emotional distress may make the behavior outrageous, right? Yet, without proof that these alleged threats and comments were attributed to the plaintiff, defendant Kibi has failed to establish causation, and the court must dismiss the counterclaim as a matter of law. Accordingly, the court grants the plaintiff's motion, Cardi B, as to defendant's counterclaim for intentional infliction of emotional distress. And then this is the conclusion. A lot of legal mumbo jumbo. For the foregoing reasons, the plaintiff motion for partial summary judgment is granted as to defendant Kibi's assault of intentional infliction of emotional distress. Consequently, defendant Kibi's punitive damages and attorney fees are also dismissed. Additionally, the plaintiff motion for summary judgment is denied as to the plaintiff's claim. Right? Wow. 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 This is just crazy. So, what does this mean for Tasha K? Man, look, I got to tell you, it's not looking good for Tasha K. And this is going to be a landmark case. And the reason it's going to be a landmark case, it's not really going to be a landmark case in the realm of law, but it's going to be a landmark case in the realm of average everyday individuals because I have several videos on my channel where I warn people that you just can't get on the internet and start attacking people, right? And just making up crazy stories, right? I'm not saying that Cardi B did this, but Cardi B is saying she did it, right? And you just can't you just can't do that, right? And basically, when you do get on the internet and you start defaming someone's character, and you start making up stuff, and you just start going in on them, you open yourself up for litigation. Now, I don't know what Tasha K's options are at this point because, in my opinion, I think she filed the counterclaim hoping that if Cardi B won, she would be able to offset any monies that Cardi B would win with her counterclaim. But now her counterclaim is just totally out the window, right? So now the counterclaim is out the window. Now Tasha K has to somehow beat Cardi B's claim for defamation of character, essentially, right? And that's going to be tough. That's going to be tough because the evidence is out there. I think there is some light at the end of the tunnel. One of the claims that I believe has been made against Cardi B, and I'm not saying that allegedly one of the claims that has been made against Cardi B is that Cardi B has herpes. Here's the thing. I don't know if Cardi B has herpes, and I'm not alleging that she does have it. But I do think that herpes is a very common ailment, and lots of people have it and they don't even know it. So it's possible that Tasha K could, it's possible that she could tried to subpoena Cardi B's medical records to prove that what she said about Cardi B is true. And if she's able to do that, and if the records do basically come back, or it's possible that she can subject Cardi B to a medical exam, which I'm not even sure how that will work out. But if she could, then that would basically be kind of a roll of the dice because, like I said, a lot of people have cold sores and they don't realize it because the cold sores may not be apparent. And there's a chance. There's a chance that she could win that part of it, and that's one element that she doesn't have to worry about. But again, I'm not saying that Cardi B has herpes. I'm not saying Cardi B has cold sores. What I'm saying is that the herpes infection rate is extremely high for African American women, and it's a very common disease, just in general, right? So I actually have several videos on the topic on my channel. I'll try to post them in a link above, so you can check them out. But it's a well-known fact that it's a very common ailment, so there's a chance that Cardi B could probably have it and not even know it. And if uh, s- uh, Tasha K is somehow able to come up with some medical records or something like that, there's a small chance there. But again, I'm not saying she does have it. I'm just saying it's a very common ailment. Lots of people have it and they don't know it. But barring that, I think Tasha K's goose is pretty much cooked. At this point, to be honest with you, I would almost be begging for mercy here, right? You know what I mean? I would probably just come up and just say, you know what, I was wrong. I just got carried away with my channel. Just let me know if there's anything we can do to resolve this. I have a child. I'm barely surviving. If you get this judgment, if you do this to me, I would be barely surviving. I'm trying to change my ways. Please give me a chance. Something along those lines. Let me know what you think. Would you accept an apology like that if it's genuine? If I come to you and I genuinely apologize and I genuinely ask you if there's a way that we can work this out after I've basically taken your image and dragged you all over the internet, would you basically accept that? Now, here's another problem that Tasha K is going to have. The other problem that Tasha K is going to have, and most YouTubers are going to have, is that basically this channel, Tasha basically, this lawsuit is against her personally, right? Uh, it's not, well, I guess it's against Kiwi Studios LLC, and it's also against her personally. I think, and one of the defenses that Tasha K should be trying to use is that, hey, uh, this, those broadcasts were the result of Kiwi Studios. Um, I would say that I would try to say that, you should be suing Kiwi Studios. You're not allowed to sue me personally. I would be asking my lawyers to look up case law on that, and if you're successful, you would just get what Kiwi Studios has. Typically, whenever you're doing business, and this is business law, and this is something I have to look up. But when the business comes out and the business defames someone, you get the assets of that particular business, and that's it, right? Very rarely do they allow you to essentially come after the individual. If you look at all the newspaper companies that has been sued. If you look at all those tabloid companies that's been sued over and over and over and over, typically you're going to get what the tabloid companies has, right? You're not going to be able to come after those people on an individual basis, and this is well-established law. So I don't know why Tasha K has not made this claim. I don't know if she's going to make this claim at some point in this lawsuit, but that's a very good defense. I would just say, hey, uh, the claims made against you were made by Kiwi Studios, and when I was actually working, I was working under the business Kiwi Studios, and you should be suing Kiwi Studios, not me. Now, of course, there's some specific case law about that that's going to help you substantiate such a claim, and I think that could be her, her best defense in this case, aside from just coming out and apologizing and just trying to change her ways. But like I said, I think this is going to be a landmark case because when it's all said and done, I think everybody, the internet, is going to walk away from this knowing damn well that you just can't come out and make up stuff. I'm not saying that Tasha K made up stuff about Cardi B, but Cardi B is saying that, right? So uh, the world is going to walk away, the internet is going to walk away, and they're going to take defamation of character seriously. They're going to take false light claim seriously, right? And you're going to start seeing less and less people come out and start putting other people out there with no return ticket, right? Now, of course, you're always going to have those scofflaws out there or people who don't really have anything to lose. And because you don't have anything to lose, you're just going to get out there and just say whatever you want to say without regard to you being sued, right? For those people, there's nothing that's going to deter them. But for people who has something that they want to hold on to, or for people who want to build something in the future, they're going to be mindful about what they post about other people. And I think there's two rules on this. I think the first rule is that if you're posting something about something that's not true and you know it's not true, then you're essentially committing defamation of character. And then the second rule on this is that if you're posting something about a person that may be true, but uh, that person's business is private and they haven't released that information and they're not a public person, then you don't want to post that because basically you're committing an invasion of privacy. When the person is a private person and they don't put their business out there, and you start putting their business out there because you got some exclusive information, you think you're just going to throw it on the internet. Well, guess what? You just committed invasion of privacy, and now that person can sue you, right? And actually, there's a third rule, and that rule is that maybe you came across some information and that information is true, but you're going to take that information and you're just going to go crazy with it, and you're going to present it in a way where it makes that person look much worse than the situation actually is. Well, then you just made yourself you just exposed yourself to a lawsuit of false light, where you're putting someone in a false light. So that's pretty much it for this video. Let me know what you think. If you had your name dragged through the mud and you sue the person who did it, would you accept an apology from that person, and would you accept that person telling you that they're going to change their ways and they're going to turn over a new leaf? Or would you just go ahead and crucify them and go ahead and get your revenge? To me, Cardi B doesn't seem like the forgiving type. I think that if Cardi B wins this, she's going to try and crucify Tasha K. I really think she is, and I think this is probably going to be something that her fans is going to want to see. Let me know what you think. Do you think Tasha K has a chance at this point? Do you think uh, Cardi B is going to show mercy? And what do you think about Kiwi Studios? Do you think Tasha K should just say, "Hey, I was working under Kiwi Studios. You shouldn't be suing me personally. You should be suing Kiwi Studios," and that's it. Let me know what you think about this video. Please like, share, and subscribe.